Hi guys, Paul here, and today I'd like to talk about the meaning of life. And it might seem like a very big, kind of mad, crazy, heady kind of idea to be thinking about and speaking about, but in general, I'm not kind of like thinking about a big mystical thing, because really that's just kind of like baggage that has been put onto the idea to try and stop you thinking about these kind of things and make yourself better. And I'm just thinking about what is your purpose of being in the world? Like when you were born. You may have thought, oh, I was just born and I'm just here just to survive. I don't believe that myself. I can't see that our sole purpose is to survive, because if that was the case, we'll just get along, and you just barely make it into debt by surviving. Surely we're here to do a lot better for ourselves, and to reach a better place from where we started from. To me, that's the ultimate goal, and it's taken me a while to get there. Most people kind of fight over the idea of what is the meaning of life, what life ideologies you're supposed to have, and so we have many different religions, and all these religions have fought with each other for centuries, over small little differences in ideology. But when you really scratch underneath all their information and look at it properly, in a grander scale, they're all pretty much saying the same things. It's just definition is creating the separation between them. And again, you also have this kind of thing with humans. They want to try and, sometimes some humans, they want to try and have an overpowering effect on other people and be able to control their thoughts, control their actions, and keep them in a place of control, so that they can have more power at the top, keeping the masses down, so to speak. But when we take a look at our lives, and take the idea that we are supposed to live in that life, and to live is to do better constantly, then we need to look at our life in a different way. And I don't know what way your life is at the moment. Your life could be most probably much better than mine. I don't know. It may be worse. I don't know. But no matter where we are, we can always do better, and then we should always try to do better. Don't ever accept, that this is it. I've got there now, and I'm stopping. This is it. Because as soon as you stop growing, stop expanding, you're going to be in a state of decay. You're going to be in a state of going backwards towards death. And that's not something I'm sure you want to do. You want to try and move on, and you want to be, as best you as you can be. So, I like looking at in life, in the course of a day. If you could fix up a day, 24 hours of your day, then you can pretty much start out the rest of the year, start out the next 5 years, start out the next 10 years, 20, etc. Have a general kind of plan. I didn't have a plan for a long time. I just kind of, plodded along and just went from thing to thing, not thinking about what I was doing really, not having a grander kind of scale, wanting to do things, but not really knowing how to get there. And so I want to look at the ideal day for you at the moment. So ideally, and what way we should work towards, is that we have 8 hours in the day for working, we have 8 hours in the day for sleep, and 8 hours for family, entertainment, education, or pastime. And what I mean by that is, you can share entertainment with your family, or you can just be with them, sit down, talk to them, actually engage with them. Me personally, I don't mind watching movies and that with my family. We kind of have a laugh together and that, and but I like really as well having discussions with the kids, my wife, speaking about things in general in our life, sharing each other's experiences of our days, our ideas and that. And then we have our pastimes and that. And for me, my pastime has become my full time job. I'm teaching martial arts full time, and but some of my other pastimes is looking at self help videos and information and learning, educating myself that way, through it in a kind of a pastime kind of way. And then that gives you an even breakdown of your life though. So you go 8, 8, 8. The problem is, a lot of people have that kind of turned sideways. So you have a daily breakdown. Maybe it might be like this. Some people have a life like this. They might say okay, I've got 12 hours of work because I need so much overtime. I can't pay for my stuff. I've got so much stuff I have to pay for. I need to work 12 hours that day to try and pay for it. Then because I'm working 12 hours a day, I have to do 10 hours of sleeping because I need that energy to get me over the hump in work. I'm never going to survive to the end of my shifts. Especially, I've worked 12-hour shifts myself. You do them in 3-day runs, or you may even do them in 4 days. Depends on what kind of situation you're in, and you end up, you might be okay on the first day, the second day. You get to that third day, or you're on that fourth day, and you're on your last legs. If you haven't put in 10 hours sleep, you're not going to survive. I know what it's like. It's been there. And what happens then is you end up running like 2 hours family time in your day. Very little time to educate yourself or have a pastime at all, if you do. And see the kids, or call your parents, call your folks, and talk to your brothers and sisters. Any of those things are just kind of like pushed to the side because you know what? I'm just like so tired. I'm working so hard. I don't have time for all this other stuff. And the funny thing is, that other stuff is the stuff that you're doing all those hours for. If you've got a wife and kids, or even if you have parents and that, you're trying to pay back for what they're giving you. With your parents, they've supported you up until this point in your life, and here you are, you're trying to get yourself in a good position where you're able to take care of them. If you've got wife and kids, obviously you're trying to support your family, you're trying to keep that thing going for them. You're trying to build them up into as best a place as they can be to give them a good launch pad that they can move on. When you start neglecting them and you start neglecting the relationships because you're going so full into this work thing that you have to do, then you're going to end up damaging relationships possibly, where you may get them into good places to jump off of the platforms and succeed, but there may be a bit of a resentment back there that might kind of come back and hit you a little hard later on. It's just better to be mindful of these things before they go on later on and hurt you more. What we want to look at as well is there's another option of this. Some people live a different life. You might have 12 hours sleep because you can't get a job. The economy's bad. I don't have an education, man. I didn't do good in school. I didn't go to college. I dropped out of college. All these kind of things. I dropped out of college myself. I went from job to job. Didn't have anything really secure, and just took anything that came my way. And there was no kind of direction. I went into jobs then, and I'd done the best I could, and I'd get up so far, and then I'd kind of end up having to move on and make different changes in my life. But I didn't have a kind of end goal. I wanted things. I wanted there to be a good result, but I didn't have any steps towards that result. So you end up with you're not working. You're sitting down watching TV most of the time, and you've got 10 hours of entertainment in your hands there. People end up playing video games, sitting at home watching movies, just constantly games, movies, TV. You might get up for a little while just to go to the shops to get your stuff that you're going to sit down there to consume while you're doing all this stuff. You get your 2 hours of family time, and that's family time depending on if the family want to sit down with you and take part in your entertainment time, which is where you're staring at a screen, or you're engrossed in something else, or you're in bed. So either your family take part in your sleep time or your entertainment time, which is where you're having a joyful experience yourself, but you're not really sharing it with them because you're not really discussing things. You're just kind of if you want to be here with me, you need to stare at this thing over here in the corner. And that's not really sharing any experiences with each other. That's not really getting to know each other. It's having a little bit of fun, but you need to kind of engage with people a lot more to get to build relationships. So people might say, I've got 12 hours family time now, and that's not really the way to look at that whole idea. If you're in the first life that I was speaking earlier on, you're working 12 hours, and your time is really cut out. You have to be like looking at you're bailing water of a sinking ship. and that ship is your family relationships. And similarly, if you're in the second kind of lifestyle where you're not working much, if any at all, and you're spending most of your time in entertainment, and maybe self gratification, kind of perpetuating reasons why you can't change what you're doing. You're having a much easier life. You're not paying attention to your family's needs though, and you know you need to take part in people's lives. You need to communicate with your children. You need to communicate with your partner. And to have a relationship is to have relations. You have to discuss. You have to interact with each other. Try to do things together. If you don't do things together as a family unit or as a couple, and take attention to what's happening and watch things grow, and make sure that they get the chance to grow, your things will start to wilt, and that's when people start having problems. You start having fights with your partners. You start getting narky with the kids. You keep giving out to them. They start giving out back to you. A lot of the kids, so they can take as good as they get. But it's not something that that should happen. You should try to be mindful and remember that every interaction that you have with your partner and your children or your family members is a memory that gets ingrained in the brain. And if you don't take care of how that memory is put in there, or what type of memories are put in there, then the canvas of your relationship is going to be a pretty ugly one. So you need to try and think about taking care to draw and paint as beautiful a picture as possible with the memories in people's minds. Like when I started driving taxis for a living, back in the last decade, the noughties I think we kind of call them now, and it was really easy. It was money for nothing. Ireland was in the Celtic Tiger. I thought it was smart because I'd stop slaving, working regular jobs. I thought I had enough money, I'd go home. I'd just stop working. The other guys working in the same company with me be staying out crazy hours, long hours, working into the early morning, into the next day even. My thinking was that I only needed to make a certain amount of money a week. So then if I reached that amount, I could go home and spend that time with my wife, and that was cool and that was great. And it was I had this idea of I work to live, I don't live to work. And what that got me was I had money, yes, to pay for stuff, but I was getting loans to pay for more and more stuff, and then the money I was making was just going on to pay those loans. So at one stage I think I had maybe 4 or 5 different loans out for cars, 2 cars, 1 car I didn't even own anymore, and I had loans for different things and that. But we didn't have anything, and I was making serious money. I could easily have made €1,000 in a week, and only working maybe 35 to 40 hours. That money was just basically going on surviving. We just get along, we just do things. We didn't go on big holidays because we couldn't afford them, because we had gotten sucked in to the whole borrowing phase. Borrow, and we ended up with just huge loans, multiple loans that we were just working to service. So we the kids had everything. They had their Christmases, they had their birthdays, they had everything, except for we just couldn't take them away on big holidays because we didn't have the opportunity to get the loans to go and pay for those holidays, because we were trying to keep up with everything else. And like back in the earlier days, I would have worked 3 jobs trying to pay for just to exist, not just surviving. We were just trying to exist. I'd work sometimes on a Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I'd work 18 hours a day. Then I'd do maybe 10 hours Monday to Wednesday. So on a Sunday I was a zombie. I just sat down and I was crashed if I was off on a Sunday. And we had nothing for it because we were just getting along, just surviving. And the oldest 2 kids, they were very young, and they might have not have noticed much, but it really got to me, and it got to my wife, and it was really tough. And even when with good times with the taxi driving and things were flying in Ireland, Um, Still, the shifts I was doing, working the taxi and that still got to my relationship with my wife, and I didn't really see my kids because I spent most of the time in bed. But we have to. I had to just kind of take stock, and I was kind of trying to run through some ideas here now as well that helped me change what I was thinking, what my really responsibilities were in life. First off, you have to be responsible to yourself. If you're not happy within your own mind and body, then you cannot safely provide for your family's needs, and you need to take care of yourself by making time to relax and shut down your worries for a day, an hour even. If you can't do an hour, do 20 minutes or a half an hour maybe. It can be silence. You just do nothing in a darkened room, eyes closed, not really sleeping, just resting, letting your mind wander off the problems you have. Just try to calm the brain down. Just let thoughts come in and out without holding on to them, and you'll see that they will drift away. And that's the brilliant thing about it. When you do that kind of meditation and contemplation, you realize that the thoughts that come into your head that may dwell there and hold there and really drag you down, when you get into the state where you can just let them come and go, you realize that you don't need to hold on to them anymore. You can just let them go. You can read a book, read something light, entertaining, read something educational, something that you're really, really interested in. But once it shuts out, any other problems that you have or any other worries that you have for that just period of time, and that can be in the middle of your day as well. Your working day. Try not to be, I can't have fun during my work time. And when you have that kind of idea, you can take some time, go into your car. If you're working in a place you don't have a kind of space your own, go to your car for a while and take that time out of your lunch break every day. It'll make a big difference to your even your working day. The a short power nap or siesta. They do it in some countries, and it kind of gets scorned on in other countries. But I don't see why it can't be done more. Just a little rest, but at least try. What I would say then as well is you need to be better providing for your family's needs by being a better you. And if you don't consider yourself as part of the family's needs, then you're going to suffer. You're going to get stressed out. You're going to become sick. You're going to resent life, and it's going to damage all your relationships all the way down the line. You need to be that's working on you. Then you need to working on hours to get back into that situation where you're in control. So try to increase your value instead of trying to increase your hours of working. Try to increase your value. So you might be getting paid. I'm just thinking off the top of my head. You might be getting $8.50 an hour, and so you have to work so many hours to pay your bills. Well, if you could possibly maybe do a course or something in work, or some way to develop yourself further, maybe you could do a course outside of work and tell your boss, I'm going to take on this course. I'm going to do this to make myself better, so that I can make the company better, or make me do a better job working for you. Then surely that should result in a higher wage increase for you. Then you can come back and not really demand, but you can say, well, I'm much more valuable now than I was before I done this thing. I know I've done it and I've given you results, and I think maybe I could take this higher position or higher pay raise. And so there you're starting to use your mind more to get back an increase in your value, because this is how people really make money. If you want to try and make money by just time, and I think that was a lot of the problem that happened in Ireland as well. There was like a time and job increase. People were just expecting an increase in their wages every year because they were just working in the same job, and you just got that increase. Whether you've done a good job or a bad job, you just got that increase, and that was really wrong. and this is why people are suffering today, I think, in Ireland, because they don't have the mindset to come back out of the way things were, where they expect entitlement, that because I've been working in this job for so long and I worked all these long hours, then when there's a promotion available in the company, they expect to get it because they've just been there, and that's not the way it should work, and that's not the way it's working at the moment. I think a lot of things are changing where people could come in from outside the job sphere and suddenly take over a position that you think should have been for you. But if you weren't putting in the effort of increasing your value, and you were just going into work and plodding in there doing a ho hum job, and hi ho off home again I go afterwards, then you shouldn't expect to increase. So once you've done that, when you put effort into yourself and you start to increase your value, you'll be a happier person. You'll have more time. You'll be able to bring the kids out to do the stuff that they want to do on the weekends, because you don't have to work maybe as hard, because you've increased your value. You're in a position where other people are doing the work for you. So that's where you start living your life again. Bring your kids to martial arts or dancing or drama or soccer or swimming classes, whatever it is. There's those little links between you and them. That's what makes your relationship, your relationship canvas, expand and beautiful, explored colours, because you're putting those colours on there now, sharing your experiences, and your partner will be delighted that you've taken over so much part of the kids' lives, and you're taking time out with her or him, whichever, and you're being there for them as well, and you're after realizing that yes I do need to work and we do need to pay bills, but I don't need to do all that other stuff anymore. So and also you have a responsibility to society. Society expects us, us being parents, to raise our kids in a responsible way and make them feel that they have a contribution to give to the society by working well, increasing their own self value and self worth, so that they can pay back into the society, instead of taking out. Because we don't want the more givers we have, the better things will be. And I think as well, I feel we don't just have that responsibility to our families. We should also try and expand that idea out into other people in the world, in our communities as well. If you come across people that need help, if you just give them an apple and they throw that apple away, then they'll need another apple tomorrow. But if you give them an apple and they take the seeds from the apple and they plant it in the ground and they take care of it, after a while they're going to start growing apples themselves. So you need to get that investment as well back into people and teach people how to do a better version of themselves, in the end, instead of trying to just survive and exist. I'll tell you another secret as well. The first secret being the secret of life is to live, and another secret is what's in the past is in the past. So whatever kind of situation you're in now, the past will not be your future. It doesn't have to be. Just because you were born into a certain position or a certain situation does not mean you have to stay in that place all the way till the end. Some people do, but some people don't, and they move on and they do very well for themselves. Other people from the same situations just don't. They may just stay in that same place, or they may even go worse. And it doesn't matter from what part of the life ladder or success ladder that they're in. They could be at the very top and they end up dropping right down to the bottom, and that's all down to mindset. And it can be quite hard for people to pull other people, even that they care about, out of that problem situation. And maybe it's not been working for you up until now. Maybe you have been a taker without even knowing it, or you've been living for work. But it's not lost. You can go back and you can take care of everything. and make sure that you can move on. Um, the wheels that your parents went on to, these hamster type of wheels that spin, 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 you ain't going nowhere. Well, you can jump off that. You don't have to stay on it. You don't have to follow the same path. And you know, you have to make your own blaze of your trail. And you know, people say, "Oh, I've been dealt this set of cards. You know, this is what I'm going to get, and this is what I'm going to have." And no, you can change your cards. You can change your deal. You know, you don't have to stick with what you have. When you make a conscious decision about changing it, and changing how you're thinking, then you'll see the world in a whole new way. Oh, believe me, things will completely change for you mentally and physically. You know, as I said before to somebody before, you know, when somebody's waiting for a kettle to boil because they wanted to make a cup of tea or a cup of coffee, and there's another person sitting in the room with that kettle boiling too, but they don't really want that tea or coffee. You know, you have two different experiences and two different perceptions of the same event, where the person that really needs that tea or coffee thinks that kettle is never boiling, whereas the person that has no thought about it, they're aware that it's boiling, but you know, the result isn't like, you know, something that they're anxious about. It kind of comes along pretty quick, and they go, "Oh, really? Kettle's boiled, excellent." You know, so like that build up of anxiety in one person, and that, you know, calm resolve of just living in the moment and experiencing, and the other person is what will define those person's experiences. You need to define that for yourself. You need to find the best way you can increase your value. It may be that you can't stay in that job that you're in. It may be that you can stay in that job that you're in, and because you're really good at it, and you have a really good interest in it. And you know, if you just kind of tweak your way of looking at things, you can, and how you maybe approach it, you may increase your value in that job, which would mean, you know, there's not a thing in the world that anyone could do to pull you out of that thing, and you can succeed in that sphere that you're in. But whatever it is, you need to find it. You need to define it. You need to give yourself goals. Give yourself an ultimate goal. Give yourself then staged goals along the way. Because of my martial arts training, from a white belt to a black belt, there's kind of 10 steps, and I like to kind of think of everything else that I've done since. I've kind of changed the way I was thinking, in a 10-step kind of way. So, you know, we started out and we were at step 1, and then I want to get to step number 10, but you know, I want to think about the little steps I need to be at. You know, I want to, what's number 2, what's number 3, review when I get to 4 and number 5. You know, how am I getting on? Look back at what I've done, what I need to do, and what I need to do to get to where I need to be. Review again at step 7, 8, and then you're almost there at step 9, and make sure you're pretty much going to be there. You know, if you take things in 10 steps, it's not as bad as it seems, and it's not as big a task as it seems. A lot of times people will think, "Oh, I'd really love to be a millionaire. I'd really love to have a beautiful car, beautiful house." You know, all these kind of things that people think are just unreachable or unattainable. But you know, they don't really want to put the work in because it's hard. And you know, if it was really easy, everyone would be doing it. And you have to look at it that way. You know, if you really are passionate about what you want to do and you want to succeed in life, you want to thrive, then you need to be committed. You need to be committed to making sure that you increase your value, that you increase your value in work and your value at home, which will increase your happiness, which will, you know, bring more abundance into your life. And we're basically talking on the law of attraction here, which will, you know, I'm probably going to do my own version of that video soon. And all those things come together and make you a much better person in the long run. But all you have to do is just take that one step and try, and you know, the rewards will be endless. If anybody wants any more information on any of these videos or content, or just want to have a chat over anything, you can talk to me on Facebook. You can send me messages here on YouTube. I've got so much contact stuff all over the place. I'm pretty easy to contact. So thank you very much for listening. This has been a long one, and I quite enjoyed my ramble. I hope you have too. Thank you very much. Bye bye.